This is for all hoof health, skin and coat, even behavior because of that gut-brain connection. And when you get all these parts in balance, you have a horse that can reach its ability and can go beyond, which is what Echo is showing. And
got some of the best names in equestrian. You know, you've got Tim Price just off Paris Olympics. You've got Will Rogers, the Double Dans back again, Warwick Schiller too, Brett Parbury and Tom Curtin, just to name a few.
Welcome everyone to episode 126 of the Send Nutrition Podcast with your host Brian. Today I have a special guest from the West, and it's Ellie from ELIROSE Equestrian, who is an equestrian content creator with over 100,000 followers on all platforms, and she showcases her show jumping off the track thoroughbred Echo. And also Ellie has been invited back to Equitana to cover the action in the huge 4-day event. She's joining me on the line now. How are you, Ellie?
I'm doing great this evening, Brian. How are you?
Very well, and yes, due to the Western Australian time zone difference, we've had to try and catch you after work and farrier work as well with Echo. And yeah, it's now after dark now again.
I know. The sun sets so early now. What are we? August. So yeah, I've just finished full-time work, went out, had a little farrier appointment for Echo. I raced home and we jumped straight on the call. So hopefully you've had dinner and then I'll have dinner after we chat as well.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for your time. And yeah, it's one thing we probably might touch first, and it's that work-life balance. And like with your social media following, I understand you get that question asked, like full-time work and like the full-on competing and training with Echo.
I do. I get it asked all the time. Anytime I put up a little Q&A on the Instagram story, people are always asking for advice on how do you manage it. And I guess it's something that I have been used to ever since starting full-time work about 7 years ago. I do work as a health professional, so I do also do a bit of home visiting. I'm out on the road, which works really well with, you know, having a horse that I adjust. I don't have a property myself, so I'm always out on the road, but I do get to finish near her after work, which is really good, and I get to fit in a ride before it's dark. But, you know, there are some times that I finish work late and I am out there at night, so having an adjustment or a property that your horse is out with lights will be your best friend, especially if you're working 9 to 5 hours, because in winter it is dark before you know it.
That's full on, and it does center around Echo when there is lots of training and lots of competing. And for our listeners who are not aware who Echo is, she's an off-the-track thoroughbred. She's actually a very gorgeous grey mare, and I think I'll let Ellie profile her development in show jumping as her post-racing discipline.
Well, Echo's currently 6 years old. She's turning 7 in October. She's by Bradbury's Luck, and De Jersey is the dam, so Bradbury's Luck is her sire. She had 4 starts as a racehorse, but was not a very good one, which is a blessing for me. She went to a lovely lady up in Geraldton who gave her a bit of a spell, did some groundwork with her, and that's where I trialled her. She hadn't done an awful lot. I think it'd been to like a local showgrounds once for like a little groundwork session at a clinic, and then I've done a bit of all the work since, but not without help though. I honestly wouldn't be where I am today without an entire village behind me. You know, my coach, Maddie Geelan, she's just been an absolute godsend to us and our progression. I'm forever thankful for her, and, you know, good without a good farrier, you got no foot, no horse. But I'm just so thankful that she's doing so well. And for those of you, I guess, who don't know, is I have started Echo jumping myself. With my previous thoroughbred, rest in peace, the lovely Enzo, which I'm sure many of you who are listening will remember him as a very, very handsome, tall, dark and handsome thoroughbred as well. He was an off the track too, who I was probably speaking about on this podcast 2 years ago with you, Brian, as we were getting ready for the previous Equitana. He was the OG, wasn't he? So he sadly passed away, but I had the two at the same time, and lovely Enzo passed away end of 2022. And then doing dressage. Echo, I personally really, really love show jumping, and I was hoping that she would maybe enjoy jumping coloured sticks. And she has, and she does, and she does it really well. You know, having this life after racing, you know, she was bred to run, and now she jumps over a fence like nothing I've felt before. And I'll never make her do something that she doesn't want to do, but she honestly is doing so well, and I'm forever thankful to have her as my kind of one and only at the moment. I'm not planning on getting another one anytime soon. You know, talking about full-time work and how busy it is, one is plenty for me.
And that's if Tim doesn't spring it on you. So Tim's your partner and also head groom, I understand. And he actually texted me before that you knew Echo was coming into your care, and he says, I think I've got a surprise for Ellie. And to see the journey with Echo and yourself and the progression, it's just, this year, if you can tell our listeners, just the accomplishment and the success you've had with Echo.
Oh, thank you, Brian, honestly. And as I'm talking about, you know, coaches and all that, it also comes down to feed. So I also have to thank you and the entire Sen Nutrition team, because you have fueled her from the get-go in my care. And yeah, she's thriving on all of her Sen nutrition supplements and, of course, the grain. Yep. But so after training with her for about 6 to 8 months, she attended her first competition in June 2023. So just over a year ago. She was starting at the mighty height of 50 centimetres. But we've all got to start somewhere. And that's, and her first competition, she brought home a little rosette for fourth in the 50 centimetres, and then headed off to Briandra, where she did in late August, her first 80, as well as Patrons Cup in October. She had a good amount of success at the last state show jumping championships. So that's October 2023. She got second in the 80 centimetre off the track class, fifth in the 80 centimetre open. So, you know, so she was getting quite consistent at that 80 centimetre height, and finished off the year with like a third in the 75 at the Southside Diamond Championship show. So that was our last one for the year last year, so in October. So she only had a little short stint in her competition season last year, but now she's kind of hit the ground running in 2024. She's gotten stronger. I think she might have even grown a little bit. I think she's kind of teetering on 16 hands now, but I haven't had her officially measured. This year, I guess some of the highlights in her results is she won her first rug at the Yalambee Autumn Classic in April. She got a first in the foundation series at 95 centimetres and first in the 90 centimetre off the track. So I haven't won a rug in a very, very, very long time. I'm saying like 5 years ago on a school horse that I was riding. So to win my first rug on a horse that I've almost produced in the show jumping side of things was so exhilarating and a core memory of mine. She also placed second at the Swan River Championships in May this year. That was second in the 90 centimetres, and she stepped up to her first metre 5 that show. She'd done a couple of metre 4. Well, she did 1 metre to metre 4 in April. Then she did a metre 5. And over the Wasdra Winter Champs, she won the 90 to 95, third in the metre to metre 4. She also won another rug at the Yalambee Indoor Extravaganza just recently, and our most recent competition, which was only a week and a half ago, down at Dryandra again. So it was the second time that she'd been to those grounds. She came away with a win again in the Grassroots Series, second in the Foundation Series, Open Meter, second in the 95, fourth in the 90, and then overall high point champion off the track thoroughbred for the Ring 2. So honestly, I have to pinch myself and count my lucky stars. I'm so proud of her, but it's not without help.
And would you say you're living a childhood dream with her?
Absolutely, Brian. I'm not even going to batter an eyelid or think about it for one more second. 100%. I have always loved show jumping. However, Enzo was not overly keen on show jumping. He was definitely more of a sand dancer, which I also really enjoyed doing for that last year with him, was doing focusing purely on dressage. But this show jumping is just amazing, and it suits really well in with my work-life balance as well. Eventing, I still always have a whole soft spot for, but it's 3 days. You know, you're camping away most weekends. It's a lot of time and effort. And most of our show jumping shows are up in the Swan Valley, which is where Echo is. And it just works really well in with Tim and I's lifestyle. And she's taken to it like a duck to water. So I'm so thankful for her and I'm so proud of her.
Yeah, we just congratulate you again, Ellie and Echo. And I think for our listeners, it's the ones with Off the Track Thoroughbreds, Ellie has a fine example in Echo in the development, and Sen has played a role, as Ellie has said, in the nutrition side, and that's only one piece of the puzzle. But when you have an off-the-track thoroughbred that is quite used to its previous discipline in racing, and their nutrition is a lot different, and we transition a lot over to a more cooler, nutrient-dense feed. And yeah, I can't thank you enough for being an amazing ambassador with Enzo at the start, but then also with Echo now. We really appreciate all the support you give us, Ellie, and also to give us that exposure to show how good Sen can be for the off-the-track thoroughbreds.
My pleasure, Brian. It's the least I can do, honestly. You're fueling her to this level of success as well, so thank you for supporting us.
And we also met at the first time 2 years ago at Equitana, Tim and yourself with the Sen team, and I think we went out for dinner, we had a few drinks, we got on like we were lifelong friends, I think, at one stage, because I think our conversation and our outlook on life really aligned, and that sort of brings us to our next part of this podcast and Equitana 2024. What is happening for you guys?
We are back again, Brian. We are heading to Equitana, Melbourne, 2024. Let's go.
It's going to be... Just take a deep breath. I think in past conversations, we're going to be better prepared. I think you guys are arriving earlier.
We are. We're arriving a day earlier. It'll give us a bit more time to set up and get into the groove of everything, because it is the longest hours but best experience of Tim and I's life. I can speak on his behalf here. Yep. Honestly, how we felt after Equitana 2022 was so incredible. I don't know if there's many other words that I can use to describe it. It is exhilarating. You have new connections with everyone around you. You get to collaborate with like-minded people and watch some of the best masterclasses, instructors, the clinics, the shopping. There's no event like it in Australia. And to be able to go back again, be a brand ambassador, take everyone behind the scenes, showcase what's on each day. I am so thankful to be back again.
Yeah, and it's just over 84 days to go, and it's a 4-day event celebrating the world of equine competition. And for Sen, we dipped our toes in the waters 2 years ago. We partnered up with Guy McLean, one of our other ambassadors, had a little mini corner, but I can tell our listeners that we have a big site this year, and we will be having something very special. Plus, we will be showcasing a lot of our products, but also having something special as well for anyone that's coming to our stand. And all those developments will be announced as we get closer. But as we understand, you'll be covering, I think there's like 60, I went on their website, 67 hours of competition with 34 different events. This is ridiculous or massive.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Brian. It's going to be huge. There's over 120 hours of world-class education as well. Wow. 160 sessions delivered by 80 of Australia's and the world's best equestrians. It's going to be huge. It's the biggest educational program ever, and they've even added in a new outdoor education arena to the lineup. So this year they have 6 educational precincts, which is just ginormous, and that's why they're able to hold so many sessions. So there's going to be something for everyone.
And also more education if anyone wants to come to the Sen stand and look at how we construct a diet with our Send feed pyramid, which simplifies, takes the chaos out of feeding, and you get the result as seen with Ellie's horse Echo, but we tailor it to your individual needs, your training, your environment, because every horse is an individual. And I think it's a great chance for anyone, if I think our listeners, most of them are on the Send feed program, but any of their friends want to come along, we can definitely help out and answer questions. And also we will be showcasing each product, and you'll be able to check it out and get that quick response. So it's going to be fantastic. We better actually book our airline tickets, because I know you guys have, and it's making me look a bit unorganized right now.
Oh, you're fine, Brian. We've got some time. It's not like our last chat 2 years ago where we were all flying out within a few days of recording. But, it's August now. We do have some time, but it's going to be here before you know it. Yeah. And I remember 2 years ago always going past your stand or your corner, as you said.
A little corner.
You guys were you were packed. There was always people chatting to you guys, and I would give you a bit of a wave, and like you said before, we just all got on like a house on fire, and I'm sure anyone that comes down will just be so excited to chat to you guys in person. You are the exact same in person as you are what you hear on the podcast.
Oh, thank you. And we didn't realize how big an impact we made on a lot of horse owners' lives, because we had people come up, even lining up to talk to Peter and I, just saying how thankful they are for the products. And I think that will continue through this one. But we've got a more comfortable 6x6 site instead of like a 1x2. So
amazing.
It's going to be good. Yeah, it's going to be very, very good. And we've also got like our friends again, Katie from Equipad. I think it's just going to be a great big meetup again of like-minded individuals, and I just can't wait to get down there.
Absolutely. Yeah, the atmosphere is just so different to anything I've ever experienced anywhere, because everyone there has got some sort of connection to horses. So as you said, it's just all like-minded people. And this year as well, it is Australia's largest equine marketplace, featuring over 300 brands. So I think 2 years ago it was over 200.
Wow.
This year it's 300. So it's going to be a huge place.
And I think tickets are selling like hotcakes for that term. I think there's not many super tickets left. Is that the 4-day ticket?
Yep. So when I saw 2 days ago, Brian, there was just 90 super tickets left, and they're kind of what you would describe as like a golden ticket to access literally everything at Equitana Melbourne across the 4 gigantic days. Plus you get to secure the best seats in the house with that ticket. But there's only 90 left. So by the time this goes out, they might all be sold out. I know the main event is sold out, which is the highlight of the event. I know it was jam-packed last year, but you can still get access to that main event through the super ticket. So I reckon it's going to be a sold-out show. This year is going to be the biggest one yet. Yeah,
I don't know how they fit it into those Melbourne showgrounds, but they do a good job. And as you said, they've extended like part of it. So that's, it's going to be chaos, but good chaos and lots of fun, I think.
Absolutely. And you've got some of the best names in equestrian. You've got Tim Price just off Paris Olympics. You've got Will Rogers, the Double Dans back again, Warwick Schiller too, Brett Parbury and Tom Curtin, just to name a few. So it's going to be insane.
And also I think we might be catching up for a dinner, I think, with all the ambassadors as well. So that could be on the cards, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I'm so ready. Are we going to do some Long Island iced teas again?
I knew you were going to say it. I knew you were going to say it.
I think we should. Let's go.
Peter will
ready.
have to drop his gin. Peter will have to drop his gin and grab a Long Island iced tea, but I don't think he needs any encouragement.
No, I don't think that'll be hard.
No, that's right. So we are a little bit out from even the schedule being released for Equitana, but I think closer to the date we might jump back on a podcast to showcase that. But until then, what have you got planned for Echo coming to the end of this year?
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. And I think when we get back on the podcast, maybe closer to the event, we'll have to lock in some times as well for me to come past the Sen stand.
Oh, yes, for meet and greets.
Absolutely, we'll have to lock that in. But Echo and I have got a couple of championship shows before the year is out. So she's currently had a bit of a spell from her success at Dryandra. We've got one little one-day comp in September. Then we've got hopefully Patrons Cup in October, the WA State Championships held down at Yallambie again, and then the Buffleton Spring Championships, which actually ends on the 10th of November, and which is the Sunday, and then we fly out to Equitana the following day. So it's going to be a busy week and a bit.
You'll be flying. You'll be sleeping on that flight over, I think.
I think so. Do you know what? I think I'm just going to go to the airport in my breeches. I think that's just what it's going to end up being.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I think what we can do now is probably give our listeners a little bit of insight to when you first got Echo and sort of the diet setup, because as some of our listeners may know, we do have that free diet consult. It's not just exclusive for Sen ambassadors, but when Ellie got Echo into her care, she had to consult us to get the balance right. And as every horse is different and should be treated as an individual, it wasn't just mirroring what she'd done in the past with Enzo. It was looking at Echo as her own and looking at how her diet and how she would respond to it. And I think, Ellie, you could give us a little bit of a review of how that process was.
Absolutely. Well, you guys are really thorough in, knowing what the roughage is like for her, what's available, the long stem roughage. She's got a really grassy green paddock, where the horses are at night. I gave you a full picture of where she is in a 24-hour period, what she's got access to, and then just adding in supplements just to fill those gaps. And we have needed to add in a couple of extra things as her competition career has progressed. I think in the beginning it was pretty basic, whereas now she's on a full feed regime, increasing, those electrolytes and extra balance during and after shows as well to make sure that she's performing at her peak. Enzo was on a very different feed regime to what Echo is, and consultating with you and the team to find out exactly what she needs as a performance show jumper now has just been so beneficial. So I cannot highlight or recommend enough. People get on the phone, book in online, and get that diet consultation through you guys.
Yeah, and it's definitely working with the horse's physiology in that times of stress in performance. And you have your foundations, as Ellie said, with the hay as your full roughage source, but we know hay has its shortfalls. If you want your horse to perform at its best, you need to cover those shortfalls, which is what that whole send feed program with the supplements is centered around. And particularly the hindgut health of the horse is basically the engine room in terms of everything relies on the health of the hindgut with the immune system, the way the nutrients are absorbed. This is for all hoof health, skin and coat, even behavior because of that gut-brain connection. And when you get all these parts in balance, you have a horse that can reach its ability and can go beyond, which is what Echo is showing. And we're trying to simplify the chaos that's in the industry where there's 20 different feed bags that are all different colors. We only have that one. We have our oil, which is the most popular oil in Australia, but then we have supplements that may or may not be required. So we've got, I think last month there was nearly 100 diet consults, and this month is heading way over that. And everyone's that has had one has had great feedback that we've made their life simple, but also their feed bill less as well, which is very important in these times. And I think Echo is a fine example of this as an off-the-track thoroughbred in her new career as a show jumper, and is progressing very well.
Thank you, Brian. Honestly, thank you very, very much. Your kind words really mean a lot to me. Thank you.
That's okay, but thanks so much for your time, Ellie. I know it's busy. Our lives are busy, and it's just been great to catch up today and showcase Equitana, showcase Echo, and also your contribution to Sen as well in in giving us that exposure. And I think, is there any parting words you'd like to say?
No, thank you, Brian. Honestly, let's go full steam ahead for the rest of the year with Echo at the rest of these show jumping competitions. We're kind of heading towards the tail end of the season, but really hoping for her to end the season on an even bigger high than what we started. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm really hoping so with the whole team I've got around me, the support from you guys and everyone involved in Echo's care and my training and my learning as well. You know, I don't work with horses. I have a completely different job full time, so having that, like you're saying with the Feed Foundation, having that also human foundation, it honestly as well goes such a long way. And we will chat soon anyways, because we need to sort out when I'm going to come over to that Zen stall at Equitana.
That's so true. And we're looking forward to it. And from everyone at the Sen team, we wish you all the best for the rest of the year with Echo. And our listeners, you know what I'm going to ask for. If you do like our podcast, please hit that 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple. I think that's the majority of the podcasts now, because Google just gave up on podcasts because Spotify and Apple dominate so much. So yeah, if you do like it, we really appreciate it. But also, if you are a new listener, deep dive the other 125 episodes, which everyone else has been doing, and getting some valuable information on everything horse training, horse nutrition, but also that management of your horse, and trying to think a little bit differently and more naturally to help your horse thrive in whatever discipline they choose. So, and thanks again, Ellie, for your time, and we will catch up very soon.
Of course. See you, Brian.
See ya.